Hello, everyone. I'm so excited tonight because we are going to be talking about building on your own land. I know it's been very difficult for some first-time home buyers to find a property. So a lot of them are saying, why don't I just buy land and build exactly what I want? So tonight I have Nicole Sudduth. You've seen her on the channel before. She's going to talk to you about the lending part of building on your own land. And I also have Joy Andrews. She's an agent with Sotheby's International Fine Homes, and she is going to tell us all about the agent side of things. How are you going to build this house? How are you going to find a builder? How do you find the right land? So I'm very excited to have both of these ladies here tonight. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we're going to start with Nicole. So first, there's a special kind of loan you need to get if you're thinking about building on your own land. It's called a construction to permanent loan. So Nicole, just explain what that loan is.
It's pretty much just what you said. It's a special kind of loan that's specifically for the purpose of building your own home on your land. And then that same mortgage will serve as the mortgage loan when the home is completed.
Okay.
So it's ideal for people who are looking to build a custom home.
Gotcha. All right. So, and I'm going to go back and forth between you two ladies, but before I go to Joy, I'm going to go to Nicole. So what do I need to qualify for this loan?
So at Bank South, the minimum credit score requirement is 680, and you need a minimum down payment of 10%.
Okay, so 10%. Now, is that going to be 10% of the land cost, 10% of the building cost, or the entire thing?
The entire thing, the total acquisition cost, the total acquisition price, which consists of the amount it's going to take to construct your home, the plans, how much it's going to take to build a home you want, and the land.
And the land. Okay. So when I apply for construction to perm, is it like the standard pre-approval process as far as how much I can have to buy the land and build a house?
That is correct.
Okay.
So if you have your own land, then that's the cost of the land or the value of the land then becomes a part of your down payment. If you already have that land acquired and you own it free and clear. If you have a loan on it, then when we do the loan for the total acquisition price, land, and the cost of the home, then we're going to pay off that loan. And then you still would have the 10% down payment if the difference between what you own that land and your loan, the value of the land and the loan does not meet that 10% requirement.
Okay, let me be very clear. If I already own the land, I don't need a down payment. That land becomes my down payment.
Depending on the cost of the land and how much you're building, it definitely could. For most people, it does. Yes. Okay,
very good. But if I don't already own the land, I need to make sure I come up with that 10% of the total overall cost.
Yes, that is correct.
Now, what kind of loan with Bank South, what kind of loan can I get? Conventional, FHA, USDA, VA, what kind of loan can I get with this construction to perm?
Only conventional.
Only conventional, okay. Do you think that's specific to Bank South or most lenders are only conventional?
That is a good question. I haven't heard of many lenders doing anything outside of conventional. So maybe Joy can tap into that if she's had that experience.
Joy, have you had anybody do anything except conventional for this type of loan?
Well, the VA loan has been taken away during the pandemic for a VA construction loan. It works similar, but they halted it. The VA halted it. So no one has, basically.
Okay,
that's
so only,
so
only conventional, but VA did offer it at one time.
Yeah, VA has a construction loan, but they pulled it when the pandemic started.
Okay, good. Now, last question for Nicole for right now. Now, if I want to use down payment assistance to get a construction to perm build, can I use that? So she's already shaking her head.
No, ma'am.
So no down payment assistance on the construction to perm.
Absolutely not.
Joy, I'm gonna have you verify. Have you had anybody use down payment assistance?
No.
Okay, so that's a hard no. Okay, that's
I'm confident
hard.
with that one,
You're
Shaheedah.
confident with that one. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get down payments and buy land and build a house, probably not going to happen. All right. So now to Joy. So now I've gotten pre-approved for construction of perm loan with McCole. And then I would meet with you, my realtor, and we're going to go look for land. I don't have land yet. What kind of lots? I know they have developed lots and undeveloped lots. What's the difference between the two?
So an undeveloped lot is basically raw land. It hasn't been subdivided in any way. It typically doesn't have utilities to the demarcation point of the curb from the county or city. And its zoning hasn't really been defined as far as a residential lot. Developed lots have been basically surveyed. They have actually, some of them have utilities to the curb, meaning that the county and city bring the utilities underground to the demarcation point to the lot. That's required in order for you to connect it and build from there. So in a nutshell, a developed lot is one that has been zoned by the county for whatever zoning that it is, and typically has utilities at the property boundaries.
Okay. Give me an example of types of zoning. Like what would be a zone that for a house that I want to buy? Like what kind of zoning would I be looking for?
So R3 and R5 are two popular zones in Fulton County in the city of Atlanta. And R means residential. The 3 and the 5 mean different setbacks for the property. The specific setbacks are basically from the side, the back, or the rear setback, you'll hear them refer to, and the front setback. And each zoning has a different setback.
So hold on one second, Joy, because everybody's not in Atlanta. Let's talk about like, where can they find out the zoning? So say they're in Washington or they're in Virginia, how could they find out the zoning for their county or their area? Where would they go
Each
for that?
county, if every state, all 49 states in each county will have a zoning department, planning and zoning or development, or some variation of that phrase is where you would find that. And in Louisiana that has parishes, you'd be able to find that in the parish information there. And typically it's a chart that they can provide, and it's usually buried in their details where you can Google zoning requirements for Fulton County or zoning requirements for the city of Los Angeles.
Okay.
And it will pull up basically the website where you then have to dig into the body of their paperwork to find that chart.
Good to know. Good to know. So I want to make sure I'm purchasing a residential lot if I'm trying to build a house.
Yes.
Okay.
If you're purchasing, yes, that's the short answer.
Short answer, yeah. There are different types of residential lots, but I don't want to have a commercial lot and then I'm thinking, okay, I can't build my house on it.
Yes, you want a residential lot, not commercial, not mixed use.
Okay. And you as an agent can help me find a residential lot.
Yes.
Yes, a developed residential lot.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go back to McCole. I think we already kind of answered this question. People are better off. Is it an easier process if the buyer already has the land?
It is. It is. We will finance here at Bank South the lot with your construction loan at the if that's what you need to do. But here's the thing: most of the time, if you're trying to finance the construction part at that point and you don't have the land, you have to hope that you have a seller, just like, and Joy can attest to this, just like with the homes, the resale homes, that's going to wait for you to be able to go through the process to be able to close on that lot at the same time that you're closing on the first closing of the construction process. So some sellers are, because most people do pay cash for their lots, or they have a lot loan, a separate lot loan where they purchase. It's time sensitive as to whether or not you're going to be able to finance your lot in your construction loan at the same time. So yes, most of the time it's going to make it easier for you to go ahead and set up the purchase of that lot first, and then set up the construction process with your builder and with us.
Okay. All right, so you brought up a good point that I wasn't aware of. So you're saying that if I am trying to do both at the same time, buy the land and build the house, I can't just get some of the money for the land first and then get the rest of the money for the builder. You're saying,
No.
at least with Think South, I have to do it all together.
With any lender, if you're trying to get them both purchased at the same time, you have to do it all together.
Okay, good. So a lot of people, you're saying, go ahead and get the land as a separate transaction, then come and get the construction to perm. Because otherwise, the person selling the land to you have to wait for you to not only buy the land, but build the house at the same time.
Right. Well, when I say the construction process, there are going to be 2 closings on this particular type of loan. Okay. And that's the process that I think is easier to explain. There is a one-time process, but that is a little bit more complicated and requires more down payment than if you do two closings. The first closing is for the construction part of it, meaning where we're going to I'll give you the draws to build the home. Okay. And therefore the loan is there for the construction part of the process, which can be a 12-month period. Okay. And then after the construction is done, we're going to refinance that loan into a permanent loan, which is very similar to what you would do if you were buying the same process if you were buying a resale property or, refinancing a primary home. Okay. So it's not that the seller for the lot would have to wait for you to build this house, in 12 months, if it takes you that long. But it is that when you're going through the process of getting your builder approved, him submitting his specifications for the home, it can be a lengthy process. And a lot of sellers are not going to be willing to wait for you to go through that part of the process before they're getting paid for that lot.
For that lot. Okay, understood. So 2 closings, we're gonna have 1 closing to pay for the build, to pay the builder to get started. Then we're gonna convert that loan into a mortgage.
When it's all done.
When it's all done, house is complete, we're gonna convert that house. Okay, that's good to know. And Joy, tell us, typically, for say a basic home, not like a mansion or anything like that, but for like a basic home, how long is it generally taking for somebody to build?
Well, all of that is different right now because our supply chain is taxed, and so is the contractors as well. On average, I would say in a normal world, I would say
pre-COVID, right? Pre-COVID.
Yeah. Well, actually, pre-COVID, I would say you could build a home in 6 months or less. That's an average home. Okay. And a luxury home was 12 months. Okay. Now, make a regular home anywhere from 9 to 12 months, and a luxury home anywhere from 12 to 18 months.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. All right. So we answered some questions. So who should I meet with first, Joy? So I'm thinking about going forward with this process. Should I meet with you first or should I meet with Nicole first? Who should I go to first, the lender or the realtor?
I can't say that going with either is a wrong answer. I typically would say in most instances going with the realtor first because the realtor can give you a trusted referral to someone like the setup team that can do the construction to perm loan. If you have a relationship or if you have someone that you trust that has gone through this process before, then of course you could start with the lender. But in my experience, unless they've done it before or had a reference, they started with their realtor first.
Okay, so they can know what lenders are going to do a construction to perm loan and they have some experience with that lender.
Yes.
Okay.
Or they've been referred by someone, if it's not their realtor who has relationships with construction to perm lenders, that's the person who referred them is someone who has gone through the process and they referred their lender. Outside of that, it's kind of a stab in the dark.
Okay, good to know. Joy, the next question is for you as well. How do I find a builder? So I'm going to come to you. Are you going to give me some builders? What's the best way to find a builder?
Well, and with the people that I work with, my clients, of course, according to real estate law, we want to give a couple of options of builders and not just one. So I typically give 2 to 3 builders that I've worked with before and my clients are happy with. But in general, to find a builder, you want to go to your local home builders association. In the case of Atlanta, we have the Atlanta Home Builders Association, where you can pull up all of the registered builders, as well as going to the Certified Professional Home Builders website. So that is a national site, and the home builder site will be similar to your county and zoning. It's going to be specific to your local area.
Okay, very good. And can I look at their work? Like, do they show me their work? I know it's kind of difficult. They might have built somebody's home in the past. Can I just go into their home and make an appointment to see their house? Since they may not have models. I don't know, like they don't have models maybe, because they're like building them specifically for people. They're custom builders, a lot of them. How can I see their work? Why are you laughing at me? I want to go. I'm not going
to go in somebody's home.
It's a yes and no to that answer.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, I wanted to add another source of finding a builder is a referral, similar to finding your realtor or finding your lender, who is that trusted referral who has gone through this process and they were happy with who they worked with. And that's also a source. Now, in regards to, I apologize.
It's okay.
What was your question?
No, sorry. My question was, how can I see? So if they're custom builders, they're building specifically for a client, and then that client moves in. So how can I see their work? Like they may not have like a model home for me to see. So how can I see their work? Can I just go to go ahead.
Typically, the builder has a list of references, and usually in that list of references is some homeowner that's willing to allow you to see their home. It also depends on the builder's level of building. You know, he may have some speculative inventory that he has built and you can see something underway. If he's a custom builder, in my experience, usually he has a reference of someone that will let you walk through their home.
Okay, so you got to bring like a little housewarming gift or something and say, thank you. Can I look at all your rooms?
Bottle of wine, something along
bottle of
those
wine or something, say thank you. All right, so Nicole, next one's for you. So I've met with my realtor. I found a builder. Do you have to approve what I'm going to build as a lender? Do I have to give you anything like the builder, the plans, the drawings?
Yes. You have to give us, everything. We have to approve the builder. They have to go through a soft credit pool. They have to send in their references. So we have to approve the builder first. Then we also have to approve the plans and the specs. So,
all right, so my uncle can't build this house?
Is your uncle a licensed builder?
No, but he knows how to build. He was watching a lot of YouTube and
No,
HGTV.
ma'am, no.
Okay, no. So they have to, you're going to look for like certifications, you said insurance, all of that. Okay.
Yes.
So it has to be like a legitimate builder.
A legitimate builder.
And what if the initial estimate, when you first approved me, what if they run over? Do you allocate for that if it costs more? Because I know supply costs are going high. You know, they're not stable right now. What if I go over my cost?
Yeah, so we do have a contingency reserve. Anything that's going to have at least a 10% contingency reserve, meaning so we're going to allow 10% of the total acquisition price, give you a budget of 10% to go over possibly, right? Okay. So when we finance or when we set up the loan for approval, or when we're financed, we're going to add that contingency. So if you're qualified for 500, or you think it's going to take 500,000 to build a home, then we're going to do 550. You know, so, but also most builders, especially experienced builders, are going to when they're listing the costs for each particular item, you know, the cost of item, they're going to know to make sure they give enough cushion for increases right now.
Gotcha.
You know, so yes, there are things and there are processes in place to make sure that you don't go over what we qualified you for. Okay.
Now, I know that somebody's gonna ask me this question. What if I go under? Can I use the extra money for furniture?
No.
So that money, you know that question is going to be asked.
I know. Yeah, okay, that's a good question.
I can use it for appliances, can I?
So we're going to finance. Think of this as just like you would if you were pre-approved to purchase a home and you go out and find a home less than what you're pre-approved for.
Right.
As a lender, we're only going to finance what it costs to build this house. It's not a line of credit. in that respect, where you can use the extra to do what you want to do.
Okay.
No.
Gotcha. Okay.
But it's a good question. And
it's gonna be asked. It's gonna be asked. Okay. So, Joy, let me ask you this, kind of piggybacking on what Nicole just said. Have you had people go over significantly during their build and have to pull back some of the things?
Usually they bring extra money to close and you know, bring down the difference to what they qualify for, and they have to bring basically more money. So if you decide you want a $15,000 Viking stove in there and we only estimated $2,500 for an appliance, then you have to bring that $12,500 to the closing table.
Okay, good to know, good to know. So, all right, so what's my next question? This one is for you, okay. So if I find land, so I'm gonna find land, Joy, that I'm interested in, what should I do before I make an offer? And then we're gonna talk about the due diligence. So, because it's my first piece of property that I'm buying, what should I do before I make an offer on the land? What should I do? And then after, like during that due diligence period, after I make the offer, what should I be doing?
Ideally, you want to do as much as possible before, meaning walk the entire lot with your builder, which means you would have chosen a builder in advance if possible. Ideally, you want to know your floor plan because you need to know what size lot and what zoning is important for your floor plan to fit in the buildable envelope of the lot. But at minimum, you want to walk the lot with your builder, with your agent. You also would ideally want to get any due diligence materials from the listing agent. So if they have a previous survey, even if it's for information purposes only, you'd like to see it. Any soil percolation tests, you would like to see it. You do want to do that on your own, but you want to see what details they may have. Sometimes they have even plans that fit on the lot, depending on how far the previous owner went through the process to develop the lot and improve it. So ideally, you want to ask for all the due diligence information and walk the lot prior to making an offer.
Okay. Okay. And then after I make the offer and I'm in that due diligence period, like what kind of inspection should I be getting on this land?
So I'll first say, as far as due diligence is timing wise is different or should be different than a traditional sale in that typically I request about 45 days. Reason being is that you want to get your survey done and you need an entire builder's survey, which includes the topology of the land, which means the rise and run of the land. It also includes the tree count, and it shows you what is called the site plan or where you can build on the lot, because not any lot is 100% buildable. No matter where it is. Usually there is some space that isn't buildable, either by county and zoning requirements or the topology of the land. So you definitely want to get a survey. You want to get a soil percolation test, which lets you know what type of soil is there. And that is important because if the soil isn't compacted enough to build on it, you need to know that so that the builder knows that and he builds accordingly, either with helical piers or some other additional structure that supports the weight of the house if you've got soft dirt.
Okay. So survey, I want a soil test. What about sewer, like septic tank, or like, do I need to make sure that that's available there?
So in the beginning, as far as before you even make an offer, you should know if that lot is a septic lot or if it's going to be connected to the sewer. If it's a septic lot, that soil percolation test is even more important because that's also used for the septic tank. If it's developed, it's going to have the sewer lines to the curb and the plumbing lines to the curb. But what the survey will tell you is there a sanitary sewer easement or any other type of easements that's on your property boundaries, because you can't build over them either there. So the septic tank, you do want to understand the soil portion for that. Ideally, you want to have your plans, especially if you're trying to get a loan, because as Nicole said, part of that process is the approval of the plans, and that's not a quick process. So if I was to back up and say what would be ideal, you would even want the plans before you start narrowing down the lot, because if you narrow down the lot and then the house doesn't fit, then you're right back at square one.
Okay, good to know. So during this 45-day, a minimum, probably 45-day due diligence period, if I find something's wrong with the soil or the survey, or I can't build a house on it, I can just terminate probably and get my earnest money back?
If your agent has written the contract contingent upon the survey and soil test, being able to do what you need to for you and your build, and it would have to be worded properly in the special stipulation, and then yes, you would get your earnest money back.
Okay, now all this sounds costly. So you have to have a survey, you have to have a soil test, maybe some other testing, then I have to buy these plans. How much money do I need to make sure I have? Kind of like your home inspection, you might need to make sure you have $500 to $700 for your residential home inspection, resale maybe, or new construction. How much do I need to have up front for all of these tests?
So that varies. A survey varies on the size of the lot. Average residential lot, half of an acre, a survey might be $1,500 or so. A 2-acre lot, it goes up. And then if you're building a custom house on a 5-acre lot, you might be paying $5,000 for the survey. So it varies by the size of the lot, and you're paying for the most expensive survey because you're getting all of the details that come with the survey. So, and then, so let's estimate on an average lot, half an acre, 1,500 to 2,000 in the Southeast. It could be greater in the Northeast and the far West, I would imagine there. Now, plans vary. You can go online and you can buy a plan online, and that might be $2,000. If you get an architect to design a custom plan, it could be anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000, depending on the house.
And there's no refunds on that. So if I go out and that's why you say get as much information up front as possible, because if I pay $5,000 for a survey and then I find something on the survey that I wasn't aware of, I don't get a refund on that survey. That was my money.
Unless you have negotiated in some way, you typically don't get the survey money back at all. In some instances, you will get a credit at closing if you've negotiated with the seller to pay for the survey. Sometimes the seller to pay for the survey. That's not normal though. So you should pay for the survey.
Okay. So I can't say who want to buy my survey. The next person. Anybody want to buy my survey? I terminated the deal. No, I just have a survey.
It's not likely. And even in most instances, my broker recommends that you get your own survey.
Right.
So that's why the previous person's survey is for information purposes only. It's likely if they haven't done any improvements that survey hasn't changed, but you can't warrant it. So I typically tell my clients, if you are improving, get a survey right away, because you don't want to wait and get a survey and then it doesn't fit what you're trying to do with it.
Okay, good to know. All right, we only have about 2 more questions for each of you. What are some challenges? This is for Nicole first. What are some challenges that you've seen? Because I think this is what I get a lot of questions in the comments about building on my own land. I'll just buy my own land, build my own house. And I think they think it's a lot easier than it actually is. So what kind of challenges do you see when people come to you and say, well, I just want to build my own house?
I think that the biggest challenge is if nothing else, what Joy just started with, but just ended with, is going to be that. It takes a lot of preparation, and it takes a lot of assets to be able to do this. Even though the down payment requirement may be 10%, like she said, there are a lot of other costs that come into play with building a home that are not done with the traditional resale. So the challenges I see for people are, just like you said, they think that it's a substitute or it's easier to do that because the inventory is so low. Well, I'll just build my house. Well, that's not the case. It definitely entails a lot more money out of pocket and a lot more preparation that most people think it will take. So I get a lot of inquiries, but not a lot of people finish the process after they find that part out. So
okay. Good. All right. So Joy, I have the same question for you, because I know people may come, and people have come to me a lot and said, I just build my own house, and I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers. So what are the challenges that you see or that you've come upon in this process where people maybe start out, but they don't finish?
So I'll first say that the process itself is challenging because you're building something from the ground up. You're involving multiple teams of people and timing. You're orchestrating things that timing doesn't always align like you want it to, because you are dealing with a variety of people, from contractors to the county to your lender, if you have a lender involved. And so it's one of the most detailed and challenging processes in real estate is to build something. And my background is engineering, and it is the most challenging thing to do, even as an engineer and a realtor. So I would say specifically, I had some bulleted points that are the challenges as it relates to more my side. First, I would say the county and city and vendor delays on permitting, inspection, delivery, and construction. You can't control that. And post-COVID, because the county were employees were working from home, that created a bottleneck with permits here locally as long as 8 months, just trying to get the permit out of the permitting office. So that's the biggest one. And when you're in large metropolises, that's the biggest thing, dealing with the county and the city, even prior to COVID. But now with the hybrid work schedules, that has created a challenge. The other thing is finding a buildable lot that is developed and doesn't require a lot of site work before you begin the actual build of the home. So that's finding that lot. If you're building a basement home that has the right topology, it's wide enough. If you're building a ranch home, you know, because ranches go out, they don't go up. So your lot's got to be wide enough if you're building a ranch home, not only wide enough to hold the house, but wide enough to address the setbacks that are zoned for that particular lot. So someone has to know the zone, meaning you have to choose. And that leads into my other point, finding a builder you can trust, because they have to know the zoning code in and out, or the process is going to get stopped or halted, during that time. Each time they don't do something right, the county will come out and put a stop work order, or they may not even get the permit to get started. So finding a builder that you can trust, that knows your local zoning and planning rules back and forth, maybe even know someone in the county offices that they can help them to expedite that permit, like a permit expediter.
Okay.
The other thing that we're facing right now is the cost of building materials in our current market. Everybody knows that wood has tripled during the pandemic, and that was because of the supply chain, and people weren't working at the same rate that they were pre-COVID, which slowed down lumber, building materials, windows, appliances, you name it. It's been delayed in construction, not only for smaller builders, but even for large, reputable, national builders are also experiencing it. So if you're working on a smaller level and you don't have national contracts, your builder doesn't have national contracts, which typically they don't, or they don't have vendor relationships, your delay is greater than a DR Horton who can buy 1,000 windows, in the metro area.
Right.
And that is it. Finding that right builder that you can trust, that's enough.
I think that's a lot. That's a lot. That makes me not want to build anything. But let me ask you this. I just thought of this while y'all were talking. What is the lowest amount that you've been able to approve, or that you've had a client be able to build their custom home for? Like, have you had somebody come in with 100,000 getting a construction of perm? Or is it like 500,000 or 700,000? What has been the minimum? Think about it real quick. What has been the minimum somebody's come and been able to successfully build in like the last 5 years, I would say? Because, prices have gone up drastically, but I'm just thinking, what's the least amount you've been able to lend somebody to build? Nicole, you have a number?
I'll
I'm just wondering, is that even because you have some low, so somebody might be 150,000 and they have 10%, they saved up $15,000, maybe $20,000. Is this even something that they would be able to do?
Yeah, we'll finance that. But if you can find all the other,
if you can find land and find a builder to build it at that price, you'll finance it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can finance it, but that's not likely to be able to do so with current construction costs.
Correct.
Okay.
You know, you were building a shell commercial building. Right now it's costing $70 or $80 a square foot to build a shell, which you don't have cabinets, countertops, hardwood flooring, all of that. So roughly, I would at minimum estimate about $150 a square foot. So if your lot, let's say you could get a $50,000 lot and you had $100,000, you would take that 150 and go into that 100,000, and that's about an 800 or so square foot house. I'd have to check my number.
So a tiny home.
Yes, you're building a tiny.
So I can find a $50,000 lot, build me an 800 square foot house. I got to find a builder that's willing to do that, and I could, you know, as long as but the zoning requirements may say I have to build it, because don't all like cities say you can't build anything under this square footage.
Well, yeah, in some instances,
but
usually there's not too small of a square footage if there isn't an HOA associated with it. So if you're just building on a street that, you know, it's not in a subdivision and it's a traditional neighborhood, they're not going to govern it to that level. But if you're building in a development or a subdivision that has covenants, codes, and restrictions, typically they have a minimum square footage.
Okay, so I can't build when I'm trying to get into like the Britzy school system, the 10 level, the rated 10 schools, and I'm gonna build my tiny home on a lot by this $1 million house. Not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
I'm gonna sneak my way on in there. Okay, gotcha. Well, ladies, is there anything that you want to make sure we cover this evening that we didn't talk about? Or do you think that they got at least they have a starting point?
Yeah, the starting point. Yeah, they have the starting point. And like Joy pointed out, I mean, of course, to get qualified, but the starting point is more importantly with the lot and the builder. And what I hope a lot of people learn from this is that it's going to take a lot of investment up front to get this done. So this is not something that, you know, this is not a consideration to be taken lightly. You know,
a lot of pre-planning needs to take place.
It's a lot of pre-planning, a lot of financial investment up front to determine if you can actually finish out the process.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I would say it's a very detailed process, and that you definitely need guidance from someone who knows how the process goes, and that in my experience, it's really not something that first-time home buyers do.
Okay.
Not normal.
So not that they can't do, but usually they don't do because it sounds overwhelming. So either they have to get guidance through the whole part, or they have to have more money up front. So, you know, a lot of first-time home buyers are probably overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, and usually first-time home buyers, just depending on the region of the country, but in the Southeast, we don't shell out that much money up front, or they aren't expecting to shell out the survey, the builder plans, and the soil test, and the 10%, all of that up front.
Okay, understood. All right, so typically somebody who's maybe selling their first house, or they have a lot of assets, like Nicole said, and then they're ready to make that second investment, a second home, third home, and they're ready to do that and make those investments and have that money up front.
Yes, and to answer your other question, the lowest one I was thinking through, the lowest one I've done is in the 600 range.
600 range, okay. Gotcha. So I think we've learned a lot today about construction of perm, but I have two great assets to you guys. So Nicole is with Bank South. Nicole, you want to tell them how to reach you?
Yes, email is msutup@banksouth.com. Phone number is 770-374-1847. And I know Shaheedah will have all the information.
Yes, and I will have that in the description. And Joy, tell them how they can reach you as well if they're interested in going through the process of buying their first home or building on their own land.
You can reach me by email at joyandrews@atlantafinehomes.com, or by mobile phone at 404-441-6159.
And Joy's information will be in the description as well. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining me. I really appreciate it. It's been eye-opening for everyone, I'm sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you for having me. Yes.
Thank you.